How you doing? Podcast round two.
I know. What should we say? We've got the mics.
All good? All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, Len. Happy to be here.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Thanks for coming by.
I want to talk about a couple of things. We know the biggest word at this convention this year, we all know, is AI. But I want to take a broad conversation, given that the fact that you've experienced several cycles in your career, and I haven't, and so I want to ask you a little bit about that. Before we get into like specifics of today, do you see? You mentioned the internet days, seeing the internet rise, and sort of what it was like adoption in the auto industry. Can you just start by tell us a little bit about that? What's analogous? Like, what do you see in comparison to when the internet started? There was the hype cycle, then it subsided, it rose back up. How do you kind of see this compared to that with the rise in AI right now?
I went out last summer and fall, met with over 100 owners of large groups, and just showing them where we were going and getting feedback, some direction. And literally they were all saying the same thing. This AI thing is going to be bigger than the internet. And I was really curious, why are they saying that? I mean, because I think they're seeing it everywhere around, in the world, and they know it's coming to the car business. And then they would go on and talk about the beginning of the internet. They're like, we're all sitting around saying, is people really going to buy cars online? We weren't sure. And then, some dealer would figure it out, and we're trying to catch up, and it's been one damn thing after another, for 15 going on 20 years now. And frankly, it added complication to the business. It added cost to the business.
The internet you're talking about?
Internet, yeah. It's just, you had to figure out a whole new way of going to market. And, the reality is the advertising expense per vehicle sold is doubled. So it didn't, it created a lot of fluidity in the market, but it also added a complication. The difference here, I think, in the end, is this thing is going to drive costs down. It's actually going to really deliver on efficiencies for dealers. And what I was surprised is they're all in. They're like, when's this going to happen? When can your machine start, stocking my store? Because
so wait, anecdotally, you're seeing positive reaction from dealers.
Very. Now that may end here at NADA because every booth says AI
there's
on
fatigue.
it. Except ours. Notice we never use the term AI. Okay, we were doing this long before anybody heard about it. We just call it the machine. Okay, because that's really what it is. And I feel for dealers because it's all coming at them, and they got to go through the same cycle of, all right, who's real? What should I pay attention to? Everybody says they have it. What is it? And what I was talking to Lance, who you know well, he's a brilliant guy, and he was saying, one of the things is just explaining the different types of AI, right? Because most people are familiar with what we call generative AI, which is if you play with ChatGPT, that's generative AI. Essentially, the machine predicts word by word a response to an answer. And that's already at play at dealers. They're plugging in, AI chatbots into service. I was talking to a dealer, his service business is up like 2,000%. He says it's not doing anything that my people weren't supposed to be doing. It just does it perfectly, consistently. So generative AI is one version. That's what most people are seeing. And there's some really great applications. It's simple because you can license technology and really sort of just sit it on top of a task. Then there's what we call agentic AI. That's when the machine does something for you. It actually uses intelligence to figure something out and take an action for you. And what I'm seeing here is there are a lot of things that people are calling AI, which is really just automation. So if you can automate a task, and often that's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to do, but real AI uses intelligence, right? So hey, balance my checkbook. Now there's some automated tasks in that, but there may be some agentic, deep learning tasks. And so that's what we're focused on, is building agentic applications. So in practical terms, what does that mean?
Explain to me practically, right?
The
How does,
number
how
one
does
thing,
how does my day change?
the number one thing these owners were saying is, listen, I got great used car guys, but they're not always stocking to what I need. Their dream is, I got my floor plan. You know where the AI knows where the market's going. Make sure I'm stocked right, because as you know, dealers will tell you this. It's you make your money not on what you sell, is how you buy, right? So they're pushing us hard on stocking. So if I could use AI to say, all right, this is where your gaps are. The market's moving in this direction. You've done well with this unit, or your competitors are doing well on this, but you're understocked on that. And then wire into all of the auctions and all of the, for sale, by owners or the trades, and essentially create an optimized shopping list, including a real P&L. Because dealers go out and buy cars and they hope for the best. Hey, I did really well with this last month, but then the market moves and it's not quite going to turn out right for you. So if you could look at a car saying, hey, if I strike here, this is what I need to fill in. This car, if I strike here, this is what it's actually going to cost me going forward to sell that car. This is where I'll end up. And an AI can do all of that and put a dealer in a much better position to make decisions in stock.
I spoke to your head of product, Lance, and I asked him, I said, Lance, how far away are we from the moment where the software, the AI tells me what I need to do, or just does it for me automatically? When is it going to price it for me automatically?
Yeah.
And you know what he said? He said, Yossi, I think 18 months. And you know what I said? I said, well, Lance, what happens then? How do you differentiate when everyone has access to software that can price for you automatically? Yeah. And the reason he said it's 18 months, and I agree with this, is that it's sort of like self-driving cars where the value is unlocked in the last 10%. You can't make mistakes because it's a 5% net margin business.
Right.
If you make a mistake on pricing across all those vehicles, you've just taken a bath and you've taken a big loss. So to get a dealer to trust that, it needs to be perfect or nearly perfect.
Right.
But how do you differentiate once that actually happens and it's doing the pricing for you?
Yeah. So the 18 months mostly is going to be letting them, kind of give it the reins, getting comfortable and having trust in this. Biggest issue we see is, frankly, dealers, they take an inventory, then they wait too long to address price. They average 36 days on a risk unit before they actually make their first price move. Then the problem is they mark down too often, too much, right? So
you're losing.
Well, you mark down and nothing happens. 76% of new car markdowns are followed by nobody shopping the car and then a markdown.
So what does that tell you?
It says price is often not the problem. You got to get right priced. If you're not right priced, you got a problem. People in this market, people skip right over you. So you're just wasting time, and time is the enemy, right? This is the core driver of the retail business is, the pace at which you turn inventory, right? So if you're wasting time, if you're waiting 36 days to address price on a unit, the reason they are is they buy a bunch of stuff, half of it sells fine. So you don't want to move price on that, but the other half isn't going to sell fine. And then they're waiting to say, all right, well, I guess it didn't sell, and now you're chasing a falling knife. So what agentic AI can do is predict exactly which units are going to age out, and then get you to move on price first week, so that you sell more of that inventory in the profit window, right? 45 days for new, and less of it carries over, and therefore drags you down later in your store grosses. I don't know why. Yeah, I must be radioactive. Hold that up. Oh, okay. All right, man.
Hello.
Much better.
All right. So talk to me more broadly. You mentioned agentic AI. What's exciting to you, right? You're like in the weeds in this daily. You're building, these great products. What's exciting to you now when you think about where the industry's headed?
The most exciting thing, we run these dealer advisory councils. Non-customers, customers. We take them for a couple of days, talk about where things are going, what they want, and we have incredible data. And I can't tell you how many times, smart dealers have said, this stuff is incredible. Get it out of my store. Because my guys, it's too much. They can't manage it.
What is specifically?
We have just reams and reams of data, so you can go through and you can look at your risk profile. You can dig into everything, and some power users can use that, but the average dealer needs things netted up. So what they ask us for, it's just. So what's exciting to me is our Lex thing will take our whole dashboard, look at all of the data, and then you can say, what's my biggest problem? And it'll think about it and it'll lay it out for you. Numbers, facts. If you want to drill in, fine, click, and you can see all the background data. But really what they want is, all right, I agree, that's my biggest problem. Then next click, what do I do? And it literally spits out a step-by-step, move price on these, hold price on this, add budget here. It tells you exactly what to do to correct the problem. That's what they need. Like they want the data there, but they really need an agent to look at it. Who needs another dashboard?
No, you need answers. I did see the product, and I had two questions right away. I said, number one, no one wants to think. You have to give me like pre-filled questions of the top 10, 20 prompts that will make my life better, easier, save me money, make me money. Number one. Number two, this was from a business perspective. I said, how do you build a system that is actually defensible because if you look at the broader industry, everyone is working on integrating different things, integrating different softwares. Why? Because things have gotten complicated. You have like 50 different pieces of software. No one wants to deal with that. And so my question to you is, how do you create this in a defensible way where how do you basically provide the best insight in the market? Like, what can you do to offer? At the end of the day, it's going to come down to margin. If you save me the most money or help me turn that car fastest, how do you do that?
It's all data. In the end, the overriding technology is almost going to be ubiquitous, but it's the data set that drives it, right? Because it's fed by data. So it really is the proprietary data set, and we've got ourselves in a very nice position there. And, because, as they always said about computers, junk in, garbage out, And so it really is the data set. And so when and it's the combination not only of, sort of ones and zeros about data, okay, how many cars are out there, what's the competition, how they're priced at, but it's the deep learning models that project the impact of that, right? So if you think about a car, and all right, I know, you can go into a lot of tools today and see, okay, what's stocked around me, what are their prices, but there are a number of factors that are going to impact how that car plays out in terms of its profitability. And so, we built these deep learning models that feed the machine with those projections, and it allows it to look forward rather than back, because one of the biggest issues with everything that people are looking for is it's all trailing data. And I always say to a dealer, if I come into you and start talking about last month, what are you going to say? You're going to say, last month is over. It's gone. I don't care. I'm focused on this month and next month. And so really with AI prediction, it projects forward how is the trend of the market going to play out for you. That's really the difference.
Len, a bit of a more personal question, or too personal. Number one, how do you stay informed? Like, things are moving so freaking quickly. Yeah. How do you just stay informed?
Well, that's what I do all day, and I have some very good people around me.
So what are your sources? Your team? I mean, any other
our team, of course I subscribe. We're living in the AI world. We're playing we're automotive people, but we live in a technology world, And so I'll tell you a story. The reason we're so far out ahead is we hired some guys to work on our data platforms, and they came from the legendary University of Toronto, and they started to build AI models, and we didn't even know what they were. Like, well, what is this? We just happened to hire them, and this was 9 years ago. We were doing this.
And you're going to my next question right now.
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for it. Like, okay, it was my idea. No, we just stumbled upon it. It was serendipity, And
all right, so that brings me to my next question. So one thing your team mentioned to me, which I found interesting, was that he specifically said, we had our first machine learning hire in 2017.
Yeah.
And it made me wonder, what insight, well, you had an insight back then that said, this is important enough to hire now. What is that for you now, right? If you were ahead of the curve then, thinking about this is going to be bigger, we got to start investing in this, building around it, what are you thinking about now?
You know, one of the things about this is there aren't a lot of people with long experience. You know, we have a very young and dynamic team, and sometimes you think, well, are they seasoned? Well, guess what? They've been around ever since this started. You know,
evolving daily.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that young energy, like they've grown up with it. They don't have to learn it. It's just been a reality of theirs. You know, that's part of it. This is a talent business. I spend most of my time recruiting, right? And you know, there's the problem with AI. It's going to play out in every category. You know, there are a lot of people who are very good at certain functions. Those functions are getting replaced by machines. You're going to have to be great, right? You know, we need less technologists these days, less coders, because so many more things are being done agentically. And so it's very easy to, you know, generate software, but it needs to be run by visionary, great technologists. And so that's where we're focused. And we've been lucky. One of the things that's great about our situation is great people want to work on great problems.
Agreed.
And, you know, so they're attracted to the places where it's happening. And so we've been lucky, you know, people come to us because they see, and the car business is a perfect application for agentic AI. You think of a dealer, you know, a GM working 70 hours a week, he's making thousands of tactical decisions every week. I mean, he needs machine help, right? To free up time, be more precise, be more consistent. It's the perfect environment. You know, lots of data, you know, lots of tactical decisions to be made. It's a perfect application. So you get people saying, well, I was working on it in insurance, I was working on it on Wall Street. You know, they've done some really compelling things, but they really like the challenge of the retail automotive business. Plus, you know, you get car guys. You know, even technologists are car guys. I started this thing. There were some guys who were, they're billionaires now. I bought the initial technology from them because they were great technologists and they raced 911s. So they built all of this technology to find all the 911s in the market used that they could build into race cars.
Use case.
Yeah. And then they're like, well, we built all this great stuff, but we don't know what to do with it. And I said, well, I think I might have an idea, you know? And then they went out and did one of the big Cloudflare. They did one of the big cloud plays. They're all billionaires now, you know?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So.
Len Short, thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Good to see you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, thank you.
That's great.